Okay, let's get into this because Honda just did something that feels, frankly, a little unhinged, and I mean that as the highest possible compliment. So here we are in 2027, and Honda decided to crack open the historical vault, dust off a nameplate that's been gathering cobwebs since the Beatles were still a thing, and strap it to a brand new motorcycle. We're talking about the CB450 Black Bomber. And before your eyes glaze over at the thought of just another retro cash grab, let me stop you. This isn't your average nostalgia bait. It's weirder than that, bolder, and honestly, it's got a sense of humor about itself, which is more than you can say for most of Honda's usual safest houses lineup. You gotta understand the weight of that name, though. This isn't just some random badge they pulled out of a hat. Way back in '65, Honda unleashed a 444cc twin that basically sent the entire British motorcycle industry into a full-blown panic. It was all black, hence the Black Bomber nickname, which some ad guy just threw out there and it stuck like glue. But here's the kicker. It had double overhead cams in a commuter bike at a time when that tech was reserved for racetracks. It was the motorcycle equivalent of a politely worded threat to Triumph and Norton, a not-so-gentle nudge that said, "Your reign is about to get real uncomfortable." So when Honda resurrects that name, it's not just about being sentimental. They're reaching back to the very genesis of the modern superbike era. That's a lot of legacy to hang on a gas tank. The question is, does the new bike actually live up to the hype, or is it just wearing a cool costume? Visually, they absolutely nailed it. I mean, it's almost annoying how good they are at this. The design team must have spent months just staring at grainy black and white photos of the original because they've captured that iconic humped tank profile, the twin chrome gauges perched up on the headlight nacelle, the whole monochrome vibe with just enough chrome trim to remind you it's a tribute, not a stealth fighter. The frame is right there on display, the engine is the undeniable centerpiece, and there's not a scrap of plastic bodywork trying to hide anything. You know, it's got that effortless thrift store chic thing going on. Honda has kind of become that friend who just throws on some vintage jacket and looks like $1,000,000, while the rest of us are out here in our high-tech performance fleece looking like we're about to pair with somebody's Bluetooth speaker. I digress. But here's the thing. Underneath that gorgeous old-school shell is a thoroughly modern 471cc parallel twin. They didn't tune it for sheer drag racing violence. No, they went for that smooth, torquey surge that made the original so special. We're looking at about 45 horsepower, which sounds a bit pedestrian until you realize this thing weighs next to nothing, under 410 pounds soaking wet. So the power-to-weight math actually works out in its favor, unlike some of these bloated, overweight retros out there. You get a slick 6-speed gearbox instead of the old 4-speed, ride-by-wire, and a slipper clutch that makes it feel like a dream compared to the cantankerous original. So the real question, the one hanging over this whole launch, is this just expensive cosplay, a museum piece with a plate, or is there a genuinely brilliant motorcycle hidden underneath all that heritage paint? Let's talk about how it actually rides, because this is where Honda got clever. The original Bomber was famously a bit of a handful in the bends. Narrow tires, twitchy wheelbase, a real hold-on-and-pray sort of experience. The 27 version basically takes a sledgehammer to every single one of those old problems. We've got a proper steel double cradle frame, modern 41mm forks, twin rear shocks you can adjust, and a front disc brake with a floating caliper that actually stops the bike without any drama. They even snuck in a lean-sensitive ABS system, which would have seemed like actual sorcery to the engineers in 1965. The seat height is a very approachable 31 inches, and the riding position is all upright and relaxed. The kind of posture that says, we're in absolutely no hurry, and frankly, you shouldn't be either. Okay, the money talk, because this is usually where these retro reissues either make total sense or completely fall apart. Honda is pricing the Black Bomber at $9,900 in the US. Not exactly pocket change for a mid-displacement standard, but it's also not the wallet-destroying premium that some of those boutique heritage bikes demand. It's in an interesting spot, above your mainstream commuter twins, but well below the posh European retros that lean on similar nostalgia. It seems like Honda is banking that the name, paired with that killer silhouette, is enough to justify a slightly higher price tag. And honestly, they might be right. Now, here's the part that gets a little murky, and it's important. important, so stay with me. Honda has been unusually quiet about actual delivery dates, dealer allocations, and how many of these things will even see the light of day. There's buzz, mostly from people who claim to have seen it at private events, suggesting the production run could be a lot more limited than a standard CB series model. Why would they do that? Why tease something this polished and then go radio silent on the logistics? That's the part of this story nobody's really talking about yet, and it's exactly why you should keep reading. The little details, though, show real passion. They actually tuned the exhaust note to echo the original twin's distinctive growl. Engineers spent serious time in the sound lab on that one. The seat is a single-piece unit with way more padding than the original ever offered, because Honda apparently realized that back pain isn't a great selling point. There's a USB-C port hidden away, a round LCD gauge that cleverly looks analog, and LED lighting shaped to mimic those classic 1965 housings. It feels like it was built by people who genuinely love the original, not some corporate committee that was just told to make it retro. And here's the kicker, and I gotta be straight with you here. Everything I've just described, the styling, the specs, the pricing, all of it, it's still a concept. Honda has shown it publicly, filed design patents, and strongly hinted at a production version, but as of right now, the Black Bomber you're picturing isn't sitting on a showroom floor. It exists as a jaw-dropping concept reveal, with Honda keeping the final production specs and official on-sale date close to their chest. Concepts from Honda have a pretty solid track record of hitting production largely intact, which is why the motorcycle world is as buzzed about this as it is. But it's not a done deal yet. So that's the 2027 Honda CB450 Black Bomber, a concept built on 60-year-old DNA that somehow feels more relevant than half the bikes Honda is currently selling. If they give it the green light, it could be one of the most significant retro launches in years. If you want to see how Honda's other big reveal stacks up against bikes you can actually buy right now, I've broken that down in the video on your screen. Go ahead and tap it. I'll see you over there.